Hello and welcome to the Change Gang podcast with me, your host, Laura Ordeal. I'm here to help you hold on to your sanity and your soul as you move through big change. I'm here to guide you from frustration to flow in your life, bridging the practical and the woo, just for you. Let's go. Okay, welcome to the week, Change Gang. I have a fun guest here for us. Helen Adams is joining us, and we're going to chat all about intuition and how useful it can be in your life, in your business, in general. And, you know, I love going into the woo and the practical, and I think intuition can be a little bit of both, actually. A lot of people think it's just on the woo side, but it's an extremely useful tool, and we all have it. You don't have to be special to access it. So hi, Helen. I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Hi, Laura, and hi, viewers, listeners. Great to be here. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Helen Adams, and I am the leader of a growing global movement, which is called the Female Business Revolution. And in the Female Business Revolution, we help female entrepreneurs who want to really access that first class life, who want to ditch all that feminine conditioning that they've had for generations and go out there, live the life they want to, create the life they want to, because that's available to us all. And I teach them to do it in the fastest and most powerful and most lasting way, which happens to be the subject of our conversation today, by using their intuition. Because that is a game changer. That can cut 10-year goals down sometimes into 5-year goals. It can help you achieve things at lightning speed because it all comes from your inside. And as you said, every single one of us has got access to that. And we don't have to wait to start using it. We can use it right there and then. And the big mission of our Female Business Revolution is to empower millions of women all around the globe to step into that financial sovereignty. Because with everything that's going on right now is a really important time for women to be able to do that and to be able to say, I've had enough. I'm done with settling for second class life. I want to go out there and I want to have all the things that are available to me. So that's what I help them to do. So I'm really passionate about what I do. I love it. It makes me excited to get up in the morning and know that I'm going to help make a difference to more women out there.
I love that. And I think that's so wonderful. And I think the fact that one of the things you said, it cuts goals down basically in half when you access that information. I caught that in I watch your videos and do some things on your social media, and you actually said that in one, and I thought, wow, that's an interesting thing right there. How does it do that? What's the difference in using your intuition that allows that to happen?
Okay, so the way that the intuition works, it bypasses all the logic, it bypasses all the thinking. And I'll give you an example to show you. So imagine you were interviewing someone to come and work in your company, and that person was absolutely excellent on paper. And you were going through the conversation and everything was going fine. And then all of a sudden, you got this twinge in your stomach, this sort of uneasy feeling in the pit of your stomach. And you ignore that feeling, and you just carry on going and you say, yeah, that's great. You can come and work for us. And then 3 weeks later, that person's come in, they've upset all the rest of the staff. They haven't done anything that you've said. They made you lose a lot of money. And then you go back to that conversation and you think, if I'd have listened to that little feeling in my stomach, that would have saved me a lot of money. That was an expensive feeling. But that's the example of how it can work. It just works straight away. Nothing else goes on. There's no thinking process that goes on. You get the feeling straight away in your body. And the more we can get used to listening to our bodies and taking notice of those feelings can change our lives in an instant. And it can work the other way there. I gave you a negative example, but if you find something and you think, oh, that's good, and you get that glow in your body and you go and do it, and it turns out to be a light bulb moment that could make you thousands that you never even thought of before. That's how it works. And that's why it's so important to use it, because it stops us going through the motions. It stops us going round and round, expanding a load of energy, expanding a load of time. Once we are in tune with that, we can make things happen at lightning speed. And that's what I want for all those women out there.
How do you define for someone when they are asking, what's the difference in fear when I feel that, and I'm just having fear in my body, as opposed to really knowing it's my intuition? How do you define that for the people that you work with?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because it feels like the same emotion. And there's also something else which comes into that, which is excitement. Fear and excitement have the same emotion. So what you have to do when that's going on, what I do is I get people to answer a series of questions, ask themselves a series of questions. So how does this feel? So it's a scary feeling. And is it something that I'd really love to do if I wasn't scared? And you start asking yourself questions, you start digging down to the bottom of it and finding out what is making that feeling come. So you're finding out if it's, the excitement of it, something unknown, or, it's not something that I really love to do. And you'll be able to tell because the feeling in your body will be slightly different. And it's hard to explain because it's different with each person. But the more you repeat this and the more you have those experiences, the more you'll be able to tell. So for instance, some person might have a fear right in a certain part of their body, in the pit of the stomach, and they know when it's that, for them, that's not the right thing to do. Other people might have a feeling in their chest, and that could be the excitement. And it's not to say that one's right and one's wrong. It's something that you have to get used to within your own individual experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that too.
Mm-hmm.
It is different for everyone, how intuition can show up, and it can even be a different sense that comes through. It might be that you notice something, you see something or you hear something, and it just really resonates with you going forward.
It's really funny with me. I hear a lot of things, and it's weird because I'm quite a musical person, and sometimes a line of a song will come to me, and that'll be my next action. And it's so strange. It's happened so many times. It's really strange, but you will get to know that feeling.
Right. And isn't it important that we notice? We so often dismiss those things that come. And when you start to notice them, then it becomes clearer and clearer why you're getting those song lines, or why you're getting that feeling, or why you're getting those things. And I think we're taught at such a young age to just be practical, pay attention to this, and ignore the fluff, or ignore the other things. But our intuition is trying to get our attention all the time with all of our other senses, what we see, what we hear, what we feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more we can use it, the better. And going back to something you just said about we were taught to be practical. But if we think about it, imagination is where everything starts. And there's a lovely quote from Einstein, and he says, logic will take you from A to B, but imagination will take you everywhere. And if you think about all these things, our mobile phones, our technology, and our transport, everything was a product of our imagination. I mean, a lot of those people who were inventors, they got ridiculed at first, didn't they? How can you build a flying machine? Oh, everybody's laughing at me. But the fact is, that came from their imagination. And that was what made the reality in the first instance. It wasn't the practicality.
Absolutely. I think our imagination is, and that's where I think a lot of us get stuck, but I think our imagination is that connection to all that is, to everything that's
Yeah.
out there, all the information. And we
Mhm.
oftentimes think when we're doing intuitive work, I'm just making that up. Oh, I'm just making that. And you know what? I often tell people when I'm working with them intuitively, let yourself make it up. Keep going, because as you tap into that energy, you will bring the information through. It's going to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. And it's important for people to know that that is real as well, because when they're going through that process, there's no resistance, is there? It's just coming out and coming out.
True. So true. So I'm going to backtrack just for a minute and ask you, have you always tapped into your intuition? Do you think that you had it and kind of fiddled around with it or noticed it, but didn't do anything with it? How did that play out for you to where you decided I can really use this and I'm going to? What was that process like for you?
Yeah, had it and fiddled around with it. That's probably the best description for me. So when I was a little girl, I was very intuitive, but I didn't know at the time that that was intuition. So when I was growing up in a little town. I'm an only child. My dad's a headmaster and my mum's a teacher. So imagination doesn't exist much in that kind of an atmosphere. And I always had this feeling from a very young child that I couldn't be who I wanted to be. I always had to be what they wanted to me. So I had to stifle my intuition. I had to get myself in a box, but without knowing that that was what it was. But I also had a feeling that when I was a little girl, I was going to leave that environment and I was going to go off and blaze my own trail. And I used to have these dreams when I was about 6 years old that I'd be standing on a big stage and there'd be lots of people clapping in the audience. And I'd go to sleep and I'd have that dream every night. And I thought, this is what I'm meant to be doing. You know, when little kids have dreams about when they grow up. And I remember when I was 13 years old, I went to my parents and I said, Mum and Dad, I don't want to stay at that school anymore. I want to go to stage school and I want to learn to act. It's my dream. And my mum was very sort of, oh no, you can't do that, dear. Acting's not a secure profession. And my dad said the same, you know, why, he said it a bit worse. He said, why do you have such stupid ideas? What you have to do is to go to school, you have to study hard, go to uni, and then get a 9-to-5 job, and that'll be you sorted for life. And some children are really sort of stubborn, maybe that's a word to use, but I was stubborn, but I still had a little bit of fear in me. And I thought, oh, well, they're my mum and dad, they're older than me, they must know. And a little bit of my dream died. But to cut a long story short, all the way through certain points in my life, when I was trying to go down the practical route, something always happened to sort of push me towards my intuition. I'd meet someone or I'd go somewhere or I'd have a certain opportunity happening. And the worst part was when I didn't listen to my intuition and I became homeless. And I was 3 weeks on an airport bench. And that was the universe really not giving me that slap in the face, but saying, come on, wake up. You're here because you didn't follow your intuition. You jumped about with it, you fiddled about with it, and that's what made you. And then after that was my big turning point, because I'd had sort of inklings of it, but it wasn't a full-blown 100% thing, if that makes sense.
Right.
But sometimes, you know, when you're not listening, it really slaps you in the face so that you do wake up and you do listen and you say, right, this is how things are going to be from now on. And I was also reminded that, you know, this is my mission. I was put here on earth to do this, and I've got to just totally focus on that and go all in and stop getting distracted to other places. So that's a bit of a long answer, but that's how it was for me.
So you were talking about how basically you were homeless and then you had to really start listening and changing. So what was the process? What happened for you at that point intuitively? What did you use or change or listen to? What was that moment that said, do this? And
Oh,
and what did that look like?
sure. Okay. So I was there, and then there were all these people around me. They weren't in the best position. And I kept on realizing this is not where I'm meant to be. I am meant to be following my dream. I'm meant to be and I'm not meant to be laying on a bench. I'm meant to be going on stage, talking to people, helping people, sitting down, coaching people, doing what I was meant to do. So that dream, that focus helped me get through my days there. And it helped me realize, it helped me put in the forefront of my mind that, I'm not going to be there forever. I'm going to be leaving there very soon. And I've got to stick to where I'm at. So that got me out of there in 3 weeks. And then I was from place to place a little bit. And then a few weeks after that, I managed to find this home where I'm at now. It's an apartment, it's rented, but it's nice. It's a place I can call mine. It's a place I can relax again and look forward to bigger things that are coming soon. But it's always having that dream inside you, that fire inside you, and knowing how hard it gets, never to give up. Because I think the thing that did it for me was I'd be living a lie. I wouldn't be living my truth. And I think one of the most important things for us all is to be living true to ourselves, because that's what keeps us going. And that's what makes life easier at the end of the day, even if it may not seem so at the time.
And so it took a little bit, I think, I would say, I'm assuming here, to change the mindset around what you heard as a child and what you're living now. And can you now look at the changes in your mindset and go, yeah, that had to happen, or that changed along the way in order for me to be where I am now?
Yeah, exactly. It's always, when you look back, you can see why you had to go down that path. But even more so than that, it's in my body, not just my mind. I think now I've embodied it, and I think that's the next sort of step. You get it in your mindset, but then to really embrace it, it's got to go into all the cells of your body. And I think I did that. I think that was the part that was missing for me. I had the mind, but the body was saying something a little bit different until I tweaked it where it needed to be. But I had to go through that experience to get there. So now I can say I'm thankful that it happened, because it got me where I want to be. And I can also help other women not to get into that situation because I've had the experience.
Yes. Change is an interesting process. Obviously, as the change gang, that's what I talk about a lot. How we go through these catalysts, and then we come into the fears and the acceptance and the process of the change, and using intuition in there is an important part of that. And I think you definitely had some with being homeless and coming into that big catalyst on, okay, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. What were some of the fears? And I think this comes into anyone that's using intuition, the fear of being wrong, or the fear of not knowing what's coming through. What are some of the fears that you notice, and maybe that you notice with the people that you work with, your clients, and those amazing women that you're helping change their lives? What are some of the common fears?
So the fears with the intuition, the first one is, like you said, what if I am wrong? Because we've been so conditioned as women to second guess ourselves. We are the most intuitive beings on earth, and we've always been told, go and look somewhere else, go and find an expert, go and do this, go and do that. Don't look inside you. So naturally, we're in that sort of program that we may think, oh, if we do something, it might not work. And then another thing following on from that is, oh, if we do it ourselves, we might fail. And there's this terrible fear of failure. But the thing is, when you're a female entrepreneur, you sign up for failure. Failure is part of the game. And I mean, even if you get to a stage where you're losing thousands of millions, you have to take that step back and say, okay, still, this is just money and I can find a way to get it going again. You think about all those really successful business people, they've lost so much and they don't let it get a hold of them. They think, okay, I've done this, I can make it back. How do I do that? And they just focus on the solutions, and that helps them get that horrible fear out of their way.
Yeah, that's so true. That is so true. Okay, well, I want to continue the conversation, and we're going to come back and talk because I want to dig into all about the business side of things. And you talk about, coming into your dream business, your dream of the income that you want and all of those things using intuition. So I want to talk about that, but I think we're going to leave this where it is today, just opening the door and talking about your journey and using intuition, and to know that you are going to go through some things that are sometimes a little, you got to find your way in listening to it. And yes, you might choose the wrong one sometimes, but you're going to choose the right one a lot of times too. And as you learn and gain that sense of yourself and your intuitive language, I think you learn more and more about what's right. Yeah, you think that's a good statement?
Definitely, I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so just real quick then, for those of us friends that are out there listening, tell them where they can find you and where they can connect with you. And of course, I'll add all that in the show notes, but go ahead and share a little bit with us.
That is brilliant. So I'm on Facebook, which my handle is Gorgeous Wellness Coach on Facebook. And I also have a really positive, growing global community, which is on Facebook, which is called the Millionaire Embodiment for Female Entrepreneurs. So if you're looking for positive, intuitive tips to get that money journey going faster and easier, I'd love you to come in and join it. On Instagram, I am Female Business Revolution. On TikTok, I am Coach Helen Adams. And on YouTube, I am Helen Louise Adams. So if you want to find me in any of those places, I would love to connect with you.
I love that. You're everywhere. So wherever someone is, they can find you. I think that's great. That is awesome. And all of that will be included. So you can go right to the show notes, click on those, and you'll be able to go find Helen. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. All right. All right, Change Gang, I will meet you right here next week. I hope today's episode was interesting to you in some way and fun. If so, hey, find someone to share it with. Maybe they need to hear it too, or maybe they'll just enjoy it. If you'd like, go ahead and grab my tips on supercharging your success. It includes a free short meditation to do just that. You can find that at bit.ly/supercharge your success. Until next time, happy day.